Welcome back to the Blurb Breakdown with Taylor and Megan, where we break down and dive into the book blurbs, the good, the bad, and the cringeworthy.
Fair warning, this podcast is rated R for mature content, strong language, and spicy discussions. If you're not ready for swoon-worthy scenes, steam, and unfiltered bookish opinions, proceed with caution. Otherwise, grab a drink and join us. I hope you have your drink because we are diving into the Blurb Breakdown. I'm Megan.
And I'm Taylor. Today we have our guest host, Morgan, with us, that we all buddy read, Daughter of Destiny.
Hello.
Hey, Morgan!
Yes. So today on the Blurb Breakdown, we are going to be covering Daughter of Destiny by Rebecca Parcha. I'm going to drop this blurb and we'll get this party started. So, Tate isn't just a vampire. She's an Untish dragon shifter, carrying power she's only beginning to understand. Aether, a dangerously charming force of nature, shares a deeper bond with her than either of them expected. As danger closes in and betrayal surrounds them, they'll have to learn to trust each other before the hunt turns fatal. Love has never been sweeter or more deadly. Meanwhile, Chance is undergoing a transformation of his own, with corruption running deep and the monstrous threat on the rise. He's caught between the pull of dark magic and the promise he's made to defend his people. As his powers grow, so does the uncertainty of what kind of man he'll become. A storm is brewing. Not everyone will survive. Until blood burns. So this story started off with like a bang. It picked up right where we left off. They were in the field. Aether's like whisking her away. He's like, let's get out of here. And okay, before that, we need to talk about that dedication.
Yes.
I know you both
I
loved
forgot
it.
about it. Yes.
Taylor, do you want to read it? Do you have it?
Yes, let me pull that up. Oh my gosh, I'm so glad you remembered that.
I know. I was just looking at my notes and I was like, oh, I can't believe I skipped that.
I'm glad you wrote it down because it's been a while. Okay. So the dedication of this book was fantastic. It says, to anyone who has felt lost, this story is for you. May you find solace in the grayness, joy in the light, and the strength to tell your own story. You matter. Your story matters. Love this. It's like I instantly highlighted it.
Yeah.
Like, I don't ever highlight
Same.
the dedication.
That was very beautiful. I really enjoyed that.
Me too. I really thought that was amazing. It was so pretty.
Yes.
Okay,
All
so
right.
then we jump
Now
back
we'll go
to then we jump back to where the story ended off. Fangs of Fate.
Yes.
Tate flies off with Aether, and they end up in a cave. And Tate is not doing well.
Yeah.
She's not.
At all. No, because we remember that at the end of Fangs of Fate, Aether ended up having to give his blood to her because of like how much energy stores she released.
Yeah.
I completely... So, I don't know about you guys, but I do not reread, like, the books when it's in a series, when the next one comes out. So I completely forgot everything that happened in Fangs of Fate going into this one. But luckily there was, a lot of, I guess, context clues, like, as you kept going and stuff, so that way it wasn't too bad, and I like it when authors do that.
Yeah, me too. I don't like when there's a big time jump between book 1 and book 2, and you're like, what the heck is going on?
Right.
No, me neither. So that's why I was like, yes, because you ended it on a cliffhanger. They flew away. You better pick that right back up.
Yes.
So when we go into the cave, we have to deal with, well, for one, chapter 2, we get Aether's point of view.
Thank God.
I was like, I freaking loved it. Now, he was definitely not being very nice to poor Vala, who worked really hard to help Tate, and Jared was unconscious, who is her to be bonded. And so he basically makes her do a blood oath to help Tate.
Do you blame him?
I don't blame him, but That was rough.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think Vela is obviously she loves Tate. They've been through quite a bit together in book 1.
Mm-hmm.
And I know that made her feel some type of way going against what she knew she should be doing. And I thought he was going to make her keep it from Jared. Like, and that to me was kind of deep, and I knew that was going to hurt, especially later on in the story when you learn what it means to be bonded. And
Right.
I'm glad he told her, like, you can tell him, but that's it.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
So,
But
I mean,
they never told us, we never got to have that interaction between Vela and Jared.
no. I would love to get that point of view.
Because
Right.
later on, we never get Jared again. Well, we do, but not like we did in Fangs of Fate.
Right. Yeah, he wasn't a big part of this story. I mean, he was, but in the background.
Yes. Later to come.
Yes. So pretty early on in the book, I highlighted Aether's point of view. It was in chapter 2, and I highlighted this. I'm going to read it. It says, the need to guard, to claim, to defend Tate from all was nearly suffocating. Right off the bat, I immediately said, are they mates? Right off the bat.
Mm-hmm.
That one little thing, I was like, okay.
Yes.
Oh.
I thought so that was also my thought when I read that, but then when it went into how he was bonded to Cher,
Yes.
it's like, wait a minute. You could have a bond and a mate like at the same time, like this. I don't know.
Because we didn't know what happened to her at this point.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, because I'm like, I don't know, like, they never clarify if you actually can have them both at the same time, or if when you have
or
the next one, if the other one breaks.
Yeah.
Because remember, like, at the very beginning, when we're going to learn about the Untish history, when we go to the embassy here soon, we hear about, like, the first royals and how the one was bonded, and then she goes and bonds with somebody else, but they never really clarified what happened to
that's
other
right.
dude.
Were they bonded already, or were they set to be bonded and they hadn't already?
Good question, because
I
I
don't
will
remember.
say
Good question.
that I will say she's not very clear on that sometimes, because she also states that Vala and Jared are bonded, but they actually have not gone through the bonding.
Right, the ceremony.
Yeah.
Okay, let me tell you, when they're talking about, the bonding ceremony, I'm like, are they hunching in front of everybody? Like, what the hell you mean a bonding ceremony? So, obviously, I've read ACOTAR and, like, the Fourth Wing Empyrean series, but one thing I found very unique about this bonding experience is that their magic became one, essentially, and they both became stronger. Aether says that it gives you also an emotional and a mental connection, which obviously a lot of the bonds do. Like in ACOTAR, you can talk, and Fourth Wing, you can talk amongst each other telepathically. But this one, like, their actual magic joined, and I thought that was very unique. I don't obviously I don't read a ton of fantasy, so I don't know if that's normal in other books, but I thought it was very cool in this one.
No, the way Rebecca did, even like how the dragons are created, being like all three species, she did a really good job, because I will say, I am a fantasy girl. I have not had a lot. Like, we do have your hybrids. You do have your tribrids. I mean,
yeah,
I've seen the originals and legacies. But the way she did it, like, you have fae, vampire, human, all very interesting.
yes.
And then you have the whole shifting aspect to it, where
you literally have to have the right percentage of each, or you can't shift.
Yeah, so
I found that really interesting.
Right. She's got a lot of things going on here. She did a great job at it too, like being able to put this many different beings in one series,
Right.
and then it's not overly confusing.
Yes, I thought that was very cool.
And then we get Chance's point of view again, which at first,
Yeah.
the way we ended with Chance and Fangs of Fate, I will say I was not very happy. Where he just instantly was like, "Oh, it's all Tate's fault. She's the master."
Yeah.
I was just like, dude.
I was so confused by that because that was a theme through this whole book, as far as like just blaming Tate for everything, and it's just like, dude, you guys grew up together. Like, when did she have time to stage a rebellion when you are around her all the time? Like, that was a part that I was confused about, because I was like, no, dude, no, there are bigger things at play here, and your dad is literally like, I mean, we'll get to that, but like
did we forget that part?
His dad,
right.
Well, I mean, honestly, perfect timing for that, because when we go to Chance's point of view, pretty much right at the beginning of this book, President Dale calls Chance in, basically, and explains the powers and like the seethings and siphoning power, and the fact that they're going to be changing, and he recognized that Chance did a good job, though he still mentions that he's disappointed, which we need to remember this throughout this whole book, because Chance clearly just wants his dad's approval and recognition, but his dad still is like, but I'm still disappointed.
Yeah.
And then we learn about Chance having red lightning. Like, it all moves very, very, very quick.
Especially his point of view. Like, it is, every time you get his point of view, something new is happening. And it's like, whoa, hold on, what is going on?
Yes.
I definitely liked watching his progress and what he was doing throughout the story. He's still not my favorite character.
No. I think when Taylor and I were waiting, Megan, for you to start reading, she had texted me, and what was it that you had said? It was oh shoot.
I think I was really just over.
Yes, you were like, can we like just get on with Chance and like go right back to Tate and Aether, please?
Right.
I really was.
Yeah.
Now I know that his point of view is important.
Yeah.
But I was just like,
can we not?
Can we be done?
Yes.
Oh God.
And it actually makes a lot of sense, like for us to have his point of view in this one, because I remember feeling in the first one, like, what is the point of this? Like, it seems like Tate is the main character. Where does Chance play? Especially since he's not the romance pick. But
I did find that odd in the first book.
Yes, I agree, because that's who I thought the romance
exactly
pick was. And then we have this Marty Aether guy, and I'm like,
what is going on here? Like, what is his role?
Yeah, so that was kind of interesting, because then like there were moments I started rooting for Chance.
Yeah, in book 1.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then we skip all the way to book 2, and I think I actually also told Morgan, like, getting Aether's point of view, I felt like that timeline of him and his feelings for Tate sped up.
Yes. Yeah, like, it did.
I don't know. Yeah. I don't know about you, but I felt like he was just instantly all about Tate, and I'm like, wait a minute.
Right. We were just friends in the last book, and now we're mates.
And I mean, like, we knew that they had some stuff going on, but
and we didn't get his point of view. So, and you find out later on that he felt the bond quickly, like early when he met her. And had we gotten his point of view, we would have known. So for us, it's fast, but for him, he's like, "Can we come the hell on?"
Right? Yes, very true.
Yes,
God.
And which we find out later on, when you give your blood to a bonded. So we'll go into more about the bonds later, but we did find out that might have contributed to
Mm-hmm.
a little stronger connection there.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And as we're talking about this, I was also just wondering, Tate had triggered off that explosion at the end. And I'm wondering if that power surge that she experienced also might have just like jump started things for Aether in a way.
Yeah.
So
that could, because we also know that is part of the reason why. Obviously, it's not just her, because there was a bunch of dark magic. But that's why, like, Chance is starting to notice, like, the red lightning. Oh, later on, we find out that Holland's got some weirdness. Got Shay.
And
Got Shay in a coma, and she's looking a little weird, like, pale, a little bluish.
Yeah.
So there definitely was something that got sent out to everybody.
Absolutely.
Yes, this is true.
So, let's talk about this pink hair and why we need to hide it. That is a huge theme through the book.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'm
just
so
Tate
disappointed.
Having to hide. She doesn't want to hide.
We find out why he does it. I don't remember.
We find out why before her.
Yes. I don't know if that is something for part 2 or I don't know.
No. But chapter 7.
Okay. But he's like, okay, we're going back to the embassy. We have to color your hair. And she's asking why. And he's like, that's a conversation for another time.
Yes, and then he states that there has been no new members of that tribe with the pink hair in the past 90 years. There has not been a new member.
Yes.
So right then and there, he's like, we need to dye your hair, and we're going to play you off as Shadow.
Yeah.
Yeah. And, she fits into the Shadow tribe. In everything that they are, she fits. Obviously, we know that she deserves to be where she ends up at the end. But, so he does tell her, he said, your bloodline has pink hair, and with it comes inherent power and certain rights that threaten any existing leadership. So she's already got a target on her back.
Yep.
Because who wants to hand over any power, especially somebody who, for all they know, doesn't even shift, which we know she doesn't shift through the book, but, even meeting her, they know absolutely nothing about her. As far as her abilities, obviously they know of her, and we find that out a little bit later, but they're immediately threatened by her. Arethi is immediately questioning, who is she and why is she here?
Yes, which I will say, I forgot that we actually met her in book 1.
Arethi?
I did too. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay,
I forgot about it.
Yes. So, Megan, you don't remember? Okay, so even towards the end, I would not have even remembered at all, except for towards the end of, middle end of Daughters of Destiny, where they're talking about the amulet, and then they flash back to Arethi using that against her in book 1. So apparently, completely forgot that she approached Tate in book 1. And kind of like dangled that in front of her face in a way.
Yeah, to see if she would have like any recollection of what it was.
The locket.
And Tate had no idea.
I forgot.
Yes. Let's like, pause, we gotta talk.
Oh, yeah, I forgot.
No, that's okay. Like I said, I do. So, obviously, we've got to the embassy. Vala has now masked Tate's powers because they don't want her or everyone to know what like tribe she's technically from.
Right.
And they've masked their bond.
Right.
Because even though they have not actually officially bonded, the bond's there. And then they have, as they're walking through, I believe they're headed to Aether's house. They're going through like where the dragons are and like the training areas, and then they go through like the actual town of where the homes are. And they're just all their banter. They're just going at it between each other as a bunch of naked dragon shifters are walking around and very much not hiding their erections.
Yeah, I thought that was funny. And at one point, it was like the guys were walking around with this swagger like they didn't care.
Not
And I'm
at
like, I
all.
hope it's something to look at and not like embarrassing. Come on now. Just because you can shift don't mean it's big. Oh gosh.
Oh goodness. And even as they are like walking through that, there's descriptions of like Tate looking at Aether and everything, and he's like, most people would remain fixated on the fire-breathing beasts, especially if they'd never really seen dragons before, but you're fixated on me. I'm flattered.
I love it.
Yes.
I mean, it's Aether. Come on.
Yes.
They are fantastic.
Mhm.
I love good banter. Like, give me something to laugh at, no matter how serious the book and what they're going through is.
Yes.
Give me something to laugh. And Tate is very good about that.
Mhm.
I am that person. I'm that person in an awkward moment where people are sad or angry. I try to be the one that lightens the mood and says something funny or starts laughing and be all lighthearted.
Mhm.
It doesn't
Like Chandler
it does
from
not
Friends.
it does not mean that I am not sad about it or worried. It's just
breaking the
feel
tension. Breaking the
a
tension.
little awkward and feel like we gotta break the tension and maybe lighten the mood a little bit.
Yup. Yup. Just like Tate when she says micro dick, huh? I highlighted that. It's the very first highlight I have in my Kindle. It's her saying micro dick, huh?
I love it.
Oh, it's
Tate.
so good. It's great because even when like there's like those moments where you're supposed to be serious, she's like saying like sexual jokes and
yes. Oh, and we can come back to this in part 2 or whatever, but at the end when she does it, like they're in a full-on battle scene, and then she's just like, we could
that
just
was
fuck.
so hot. That was so hot. When she just walks up and she's all like, sorry I'm late, and starts fucking making out with Aether in front of Chance. I was like, damn, girl, okay. I'm here for it.
Loved it.
Yes.
It was great.
She just wanted
I
to get
was
some.
not expecting it because when I think of Tate, I think of this quiet badass. Like, she's gonna do what she gotta do, but I still think of her as just very quiet.
Yeah.
And she just was like, I don't give up. And did what she had to do. She's like, you lost me, you effed me over, and now look what I have.
Yes. Yeah, you can really see this her development through the whole thing. Like, she's pretty quiet in the beginning, but then like as she's going through all that bullying and shit, like at the end she's like, fuck all y'all, I'm a queen.
Right.
Yes.
Oh, goodness.
Okay, so as they're still traveling, so we passed, all the nakedness. We get Clarence and Ruby, two children.
Yes.
Running around and kind of playing outside the houses in the street, I kind of imagine, for me personally, like a row of houses down and then like the dirt road, and the kids are running around like the little cute little town. Clarence calls Aether uncle. And that is also how Aether approaches Ruby. But when Tate tries to clarify if Ruby is his niece, he does not answer. So right then and there, for one, they pointed out her looks and how they compared to Aether. And then he just kind of stayed silent. I was like, oh no.
There was a conversation between him and James where I don't have the exact spot in the book, but basically Aether was like, I waited until you guys were ready for her. And that immediately, that's when I texted both of you and I was like, he has a fucking child? What?
Yeah.
And then,
not my favorite, no. I will say. I wasn't a huge fan. I feel like that could have just been left out a little bit, but
yeah. But then I got it. Yeah, but then it helped explain like what happened for Tate So I get
Yes,
it, like
it
why
was
it needed to
important.
happen. Yeah.
Yeah.
But
Yes.
I
Yep.
agree. I wish it hadn't been Aether's child. It could have been maybe somebody else's.
Right, like we've all watched this highlight series where they had the other half-breed child that they what's the little girl's name? Renesmee, sorry. Where they had to like find somebody else that also had her same story, and I feel like that played into this as well. That's why I think Ruby, her story was very important.
Yes.
But like you said, it could have been somebody else's child. Because like
yes.
Tate makes the comment somewhere else, like stepmom, and I'm like, no.
Yeah.
Or stepdaughter or something, referring to Ruby, and I'm just like,
I know, and I was like, that's not quite everything, but at the same time, at this point in the book, she doesn't have a lot of answers. Like, at this point, she doesn't.
No.
Right now, this is her first meeting of Ruby, and she doesn't have any suspicions about it at first.
Right.
Yeah, there's a lot that plays into her questioning him.
Yeah, like, she definitely noticed that he didn't answer, but she had so many other things going on that it just kind of went to the back of her mind.
Until she was in freaking trials, and then all of a sudden she needs to ask the question. I'm like, can you focus on what you're doing?
Yes.
Come on now.
Also,
Wrong time.
When that thing, though, in your head, like, just nags at you, and you need
gotta get
the
an
answer, you have to.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. Just say it. It doesn't matter. It's the wrong time. Whatever.
And then he wouldn't answer her. He's like, like, can you focus and we'll talk about it later? And she's like, now.
I need you to answer me right now.
And he's like, she's my daughter. And then she shuts him out.
She's shuts him out.
Yeah.
Nope, we're done.
And then we get his point of view after that, and he's like, yeah, she's still mad.
Like, no duh.
Shouldn't have lied by omission.
Uh-huh.
Oh,
right?
Goodness.
Oh, man. And then it's like, okay, so now let's flip back to some more Chance's chapters.
Yes.
Well, we start to get where Chance is getting very overwhelmed with his power. Like, an overwhelming sense of power. He's either evolving or mutating. He's not quite sure yet. Holland is definitely trying to help. Says he needs to master these skills.
They start getting freaky right next to Shay.
Yep.
While she's unconscious. Shay wakes up and she's like,
could you not?
Yeah.
Literally.
Seriously.
She's like, I'm in a coma, I'm not dead. I'm still here. Oh, man.
I was like, my goodness. Like, I will admit, each chapter I read of Chance, aside from maybe a couple where he was, like, starting to recognize that he was losing himself, it just was, like, downhill from every new chapter.
Yep. Yeah. Every new
Absolutely.
chapter, it was something else negative happening.
And then also, like, his dad saying, like, Chance needs to do the testing and learn how to siphon and become this thing to save Holland and Shay. And it's like, to me, he just was using that against him. He's like,
he was
if
just
you don't do
manipulating
this, the whole book, I was like, dude.
But it's all Tate's fault somehow.
Right.
All Tate.
Yeah, he kept trying to push it on Chance, and you could tell there was a lot of reluctance there from Chance, and he didn't want it at first. I'm pretty sure there was a point at which he voiced that, like, I don't want this. Don't stop.
Yeah.
And it was manipulation that ultimately caused him to say, okay, do what you have to do.
Right.
I hate his dad.
Me too. I wish there would have been, like, a similar person, like, to see what it would have been like had Chance said no, and, like, gone a different path. Because it seemed like he was just going to spiral out of control if he didn't get the training. But, like, what would have happened if he still didn't get the training? Could he have learned to still control it and manage it on his own?
Right.
See, and we don't have Shay's point of view.
I would love
And
that. I love
that's
Shay.
true.
And we're not quite there yet, but we know that Shay and Holland are both noticing changes as well.
Right.
From the blast. We noticed Holland's got some blue diamond popping up on her head. Was it blue?
Purple,
right?
I think.
Purple. Has this has this purple diamond popping on the top of her head. And then Shay's been really icy.
Yeah.
Not like her personality, but Chance's magic can feel that she's very icy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
His magic is calling to hers. And
yes.
I find that very, very interesting. Like, what does that mean for the rest of the series?
Right, because the magic calls to Shay and Holland, both very different sense for him, I guess you would say.
Yeah.
One's like Holland's very ancient, and then Shay's got this very like powerful ice, whatever she's got cooking up in there, because he can just sense like the amount of power in people.
So I have something, and you guys may remember this, and I don't. So Holland has the purple diamond, and toward the end of the book, his dad has purple magic coming out of him. Do you guys remember that? Are they linked somehow, and I just missed that?
Wait, you said Dale has purple magic?
Yeah. President
I do not
Dale.
remember that. I thought it was just purple veins.
Oh, it might have been
like there was
veins.
so
the
much
black and purple veins.
Yeah, I think it was just the veins, but I don't remember though. I didn't just finish it. Yeah, because I like here in chapter 8 for Chance's point of view. There's something here about how his father had once again disappointment on his features, and features that were more purple than I'd noticed before. So maybe him and Holland are connected because she's got the purple diamond and his magic seems to express itself purple in his features.
I wonder if when they were there for the blast, whatever they absorbed in that blast was the same, whereas Chance absorbed something else. Maybe I wonder
if it's also like the power stores, because they very much talk about how Chance his power was awakened. It's not as if he didn't have power, but it's more like it was awakened. So and some people that he siphons from are stronger than others, and so that's how his power. So
we find out later in the book his mother was Fae.
That's right. Yeah.
And that could explain why his is red and awakened, whereas his dad and Holland are purple. Maybe it's because theirs was new magic. I mean, we know that President Dale has been siphoning magic from people for God knows how long, but it's created magic. It's not there. It's not like born magic that you already have.
Right. So I wonder if Shay's
we don't know that he didn't have magic though.
That's
because
true.
Some of these people have magic. It's just that it's not as potent until you start to siphon more and more power.
Right.
Yeah, and I think they mentioned something about how even the humans have magic in this world.
Oh yeah.
But they don't like teach them how to express it.
Yeah.
To keep them docile. So that Dale can eat them.
So that
or whoever needs to eat them, eat them.
Oh my gosh. Seriously.
That's funny.
That was so frustrating. Just like I said, he just kept going downhill.
Yes.
But let's just go back to Tate. And Tate right now has to go meet the 6 chairs.
Yep.
Which is 6 colors, 6 tribes. We do have an empty chair.
Yes.
And Aether says, do not reveal your inner dragon. So basically, Aether is like, don't tell them a gosh darn thing about you. You need to pretend you're not who you are and just be somebody else. And she has legit no idea why.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
She's just
I'm sure
going
that
with
was
it.
very hard for her.
Yeah.
Because she's got to go in there not knowing these people, not really knowing what she's here for.
Right.
And pretend to be something she's not. And I'm like, well, you know, that's easy because I don't know what I am.
And she was doing that already her whole life because she was shifting into a raven, and her mom was like, you cannot be doing that in front of other people, and you cannot tell anybody that you can.
That you can do it.
Yeah,
because
she already had plenty of practice.
We know that they were disappearing, but that they were killing them off, or, you know, President Dale was eating them. So
yes.
I definitely just keep quiet.
So after she meets with the six, she has to go to an examination, and is it Pagan Shaw that she has to go to an examination with, who she didn't know how to answer her questions, and she started digging into Tate's mind, and Tate pushes her out. It's like, get out of my head.
Yes.
So I will say, in doing so, it put a target on Tate's back. They were like, oh, we can't trust her.
What's she hiding?
What she's hiding.
Mm-hmm.
And then, so Aether and Tate they start talking about the history of the Untish and the Vamps, as well as Maida and the mythical place of the Fae. And I wrote, I get this thought. That's what I wrote. I was like, is Tate a vamp, dragon, and a fae? I'm just like, there's so many.
Oh. Yeah, because at this point in the book, we don't know.
We don't have all the clarifications.
Right.
Yeah.
We don't know what all goes into these beings.
No, because she hasn't grown up here. She doesn't know anything about it, and they were forbidden to be taught this in the Glen.
Yes.
Yeah. In chapter 11, I highlighted this, and I think it's important for the rest of the book. It says, they hunted the weak members. Our camps used to be spread out throughout the lands, one in each kingdom, but they raided our villages and murdered the vulnerable. It didn't matter how old they were. They slaughtered those who couldn't shift and even managed to kill a few that could. They were wanting the shifters to be the powerful species.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, damn, like killing these poor children. And we know that, like, you should not be able to shift until you're older, like into your later teenage years, at least. Makes me sad. I don't like when they kill the babies.
Yeah.
I know, it's awful. But that's how you know, like, they're bad. They're straight bad. They have no good reason to do that when they kill the children.
I was looking at a note in chapter 12 where apparently Aether, I don't know if it was Aether's point of view or still Tate's, but it says that Tate's bloodline is faint and not nearly strong enough for her to be the foretold heir. So now we're getting a little bit more information about why her tips are pink, what tribe she actually belongs to, and he's saying heir, like, this is important. And if her blood
we actually talk about he talks about the prophecy in this chapter.
Okay.
But he doesn't tell Tate. This is, for sure, you were right. This is Aether's point of view, so we're only getting Aether's point of view right now.
I highlighted something and it said she may need to challenge. And I made a note and I said, is she supposed to take over? Like, is that empty chair rightfully hers?
Mm-hmm.
And obviously at this point I didn't know. But going back, obviously we know that, you know, it's going to be an upset because she is going to challenge them in their Like dominance, like who needs to run it.
Well, that challenge is actually for if there's other heirs, they can challenge to take the crown.
Yes. Yeah. Did we find that out earlier in the second half?
We find that out in this chapter.
Okay.
Because I wrote prophecy ? And then I said, yes, tell her the truth. Because obviously, like right here, Aether is in denial of the prophecy.
Mm-hmm.
But the prophecy, once you get it all broken down, it's gotta be Tate.
Right.
Yeah.
One book is called Daughter of Destiny.
Yeah.
We know she's got the royal blood. It's gotta be.
Yeah.
And it was funny when James and Yuli, I think is her name, his bonded, they were like talking about it, and freaking Aether's like, it's stupid, just drop it. And I'm like, I want to know.
Right.
Like, can you tell us, please?
Yeah, but he even mentions it first in chapter 12 when he's talking to his uncle Enzo. And he's so mad that the prophecy was brought up, and I'm like, what? Like, I was thinking that the prophecy was like, oh my god, she's gonna die.
I know.
but then when the whole thing is revealed, I was like, why was he so mad? Like,
I thought the same freaking thing.
Right.
It's just Tate becoming the queen. Like, why is that such a bad thing?
Right.
And the only reason I know why he feels like it's a bad thing is because all the royals have been hunted and basically killed. Or
true.
But I completely thought the same way you did. I was like, once I went that, I was like, oh, thank God, Rebecca, like, don't kill Tate.
Yeah. Right.
So I'm like, why are we freaking out? I'm like,
yes.
Totally, completely was with you on that. Felt the same way. Mm-hmm. But I do know, like, now, how, like, towards the end, how much he's like, I can't lose you.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Yeah, he felt that way throughout the whole book. Like, you could definitely feel how strong their connection was.
Yes.
And just the way he was like, you know, I lost Cher, and of course that hurt, but, like, I really cannot lose you.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
well, yeah, because, like, we know that losing Cher, his bonded he was destroyed. He obviously, like, gave up his daughter because he could not pull himself together enough to parent. So we know that he was destroyed. So knowing that the bond him and Tate has is, like, I think I want to say it's like 2 tiers above what him and Cher were.
Yeah, they have a mating bond, and him and Cher had a moderate bond.
Yeah, so, like, him and Tate, it's like their souls kind of just came together.
Yeah.
So
he actually tells somebody, and I don't remember who it was, the way I felt for Cher is nothing compared to the way that I feel for Tate. And I was like, oh, okay. I love that he said that, because it really put into the book his feelings for her.
Mm-hmm.
And I loved that. I'm glad Rebecca put that in there.
But just thinking, that makes me think of them, Perry and Matthias, we said.
Yeah.
And if Aether feels that way about Tate, then I'm wondering if Perry had that same thing with Matthias, even though she had already technically bonded with somebody else.
Yeah, that's my thought.
Yeah, I'm sure leaving a bond that you already have is not easy.
Yeah. I really want to know what happened to the other one. I can't remember his name, but I really want to know.
I don't either.
I couldn't remember if maybe he died. Did he die? I don't know.
No,
that's what I mean. Like, I don't feel. Remember, like, earlier, I was like, I don't feel like we got the clarification on that.
Yeah.
So Perry and Matthias, Rebecca, we are so sorry if we are slaughtering these names. They had a daughter, obviously, after they mated, and she was the firstborn natural shifter who could not only withstand fire, but wield it and breathe it.
Yes.
So they created this whole new species. And she became, like, what did they call her? Mother of Dragon or something?
Yeah, the Mother of Dragons.
That was pretty cool. And in doing so, with Perry mating with him, she could now shift.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, Rebecca, do you like Game of Thrones with Mother of Dragon? Because I like Khaleesi too.
Yes,
Me too.
I was having the same thought. I was like, we have another Khaleesi.
That was a spin-off series, Mother of Dragons, wasn't it?
House of Dragons.
House of Dragons.
House of Dragons. Okay.
Yes.
I watched
Yeah.
Game of Thrones. I didn't watch
I love
any
House
of the
of
spin-offs.
Dragons.
I love
I'm gonna have to watch it.
Yeah, it's good.
I hate that I know where it goes.
Oh.
It's obviously,
Did you read the books?
No, but it's a prequel, and
Oh, yeah, you're right.
Oh.
if you watch Game of Thrones,
Mm-hmm.
Joffrey is talking to Marjorie, it was, about Rhaenyra and her bones under the castle.
Oh.
Google the clip. It is there.
Oh, gosh.
I was like, what?
So we know that Perry's daughter grew up and she became the ruler of the House of Blush, which is the royal house of the Untish. Her name is Amy. Was the first natural born dragon shifter, obviously. And they forced Perry, Mateus, and then obviously their new daughter, forced every other tribe, so those 6 that were sitting there for Tate, into submission, and they became the ruling house. Or chair.
Yeah, right.
Yeah,
I
so
said
this
ruling
is
house.
where... okay, so, like, I have mixed feelings when stuff like this happens, because...
Yeah? Tell us why.
Because, like, every fantasy book...
I love getting your thoughts, okay?
Because every fantasy book, you know, when we go what happened in previous, it's not good how the current ruler took over.
Right.
And then if you go back to that and you're like, so they're after the royals, but how did the royals start?
Mm-hmm.
Look what they did to start. And then somebody else said, hey, I don't want you in charge. I'm going to take over.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's Arathi or whatever.
Yeah.
So, yeah, she just kind of, oh, well, we don't have any royals right now. I'm just going to do what I have to do.
Right.
What makes me wonder is they named themselves royals, okay? So, like, how does that make sense, first of all? Because that was a little confusing to me. But also, why, like, in all these years, did nobody try to fight it and make them all equal again?
Because of the power.
Bruh.
Oh, hi, kitty. Because of the power. Like, they held too much power and not everyone was able to shift.
Oh, that's right. Sorry.
And they started controlling who the heirs could mate with to make sure they were shifters to keep the power in check.
Yes. Which is what, created that mating bond ceremony matching whatever, because that's what they wanted, because obviously the dragons were the superior species.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, we love dragons, so it's fine.
Yeah. Also, can I just say, I love that the color of power in this series is pink.
Yes.
Fucking love that. Fucking love
it
that.
Very shocking.
It was unique, and I liked it a lot. I think it definitely represented Tate and who she was.
Yes.
I love that you commented on that, because I actually did think of that when I was reading, and I was like, you would think it would be red, which is funny that they're the ones ruling right now.
Yes. Usually, like, red and black are, like, these symbols of, like, power, but no, Rebecca was like, let's do pink.
Now, and that's a feminine statement right there.
Yes.
We love it.
Man, that speaks to our current society.
Right. Love it.
Yeah, seriously.
I love it. Okay.
I want to talk about, though, when Tate finds out, when Aether finally tells Tate that they're bonded.
Okay. Yes.
And he had been
drunk.
Or she had been drinking. Yes, she had been drinking some blood wine. And Aether finally finds a way to tell Tate that they're bonded.
After he sobers her up.
Yep. Very quickly.
I found that little tidbit of information hysterical. He's like, no, we're having this conversation sober.
Yup.
Yep. So here, take this. Sober you right on up.
Goodness.
But he does tell her it's her choice whether she wants to accept the bond or not.
I loved that.
Yes.
He said, I will leave you alone. I will essentially be in pain, you know, not maybe physically,
Yes.
but mentally, emotionally, if she chose not to accept the bond. Which it spoke volumes of him. I loved that.
Yes. But I will say, she did tell him that she needed to think about it, which was good. It was not a no. But he had to go and then jumps off the balcony.
Yes.
Okay, bye.
Yeah, he's like, no, I got this rage, this power, and I gotta go.
You
If
won't
not,
let
I'm
me
gonna
fuck
claim
so I gotta
you.
leave.
Yes, exactly. And so it's just like he doesn't even say anything. He literally just goes and jumps off, just like.
See ya.
It was so good though.
Yes. I really like that Rebecca wrote in that Tate did want to think about it, because so often we see, like, even in society, women will jump at the first, like, chance of being with somebody. And so the fact that she was like, I really want to think about it, this is a really big commitment, I love that. I love it.
Yes. And then so when he comes back, now we have the actual introduction of James to check on things.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, I mean, obviously we already know Aether is overly now protective of Tate.
As he should be.
he just released all this energy, but then comes back and James is snooping around and, like,
I'm having thoughts in my head, I'm sorry.
Do you need to get them out, Megan?
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead.
So we were talking about Aether just jumping off the balcony, right? And all I can see is him just flapping his wings as hard as he can and, like, breathing fire repeatedly.
So, am I the only one that, like, when they talk about how they're just walking around with, like, erections, like, yeah. I'm like, they're just openly comfortable fighting, and I'm sitting here like, you know that thing's just jiggling around.
Yes.
Oh, God.
It really is.
My thought is I could never. I am too chunky for that. We are not. I'm gonna have my clothes waiting for me, like, behind a bush. We got to get dressed.
I mean, I'm the same way. I'm not openly for it, but at the same time, I was not raised that way. If I was maybe grown up with a household that way, I feel like maybe I would be more open. It really is just like how you are brought. Like, they were brought.
They grew up here. This
like,
is normal for them.
Yeah. And the ones who can't shift, maybe they don't feel the same way. They're probably always fighting in their clothes.
Well, and that's funny you say that, because we do have that with Vala and Jared. Jared can't shift.
Jared can't. That's right.
So like, I wonder if, like, some of his, because he does get grumpy at sometimes. Like, we've seen that in book one, and it's probably just like a huge jealousy thing, in my opinion.
I find it interesting that he wasn't
into it.
I find it interesting that he wasn't, like, mentioned more in the first half of the book. Like, he just, like, didn't exist at all until he did. Like, I forgot about him, and then, like, towards that second part, I was like, oh, damn. All right, what happened?
So I will say, in the beginning, I did start having some, like, negative feelings towards Jared. At the very beginning, I was like, something's up.
Yeah.
Bella was being secretive about things with him.
Yes, and he was very important in the first book, and this one he just all of a sudden wasn't. So that made me question things too. I thought it was a power move too that Vela was just carrying him in her claw, like in the very first chapter.
Yup.
And I'm like, that's a damn power move right there. Rebecca said, women are on top.
Yup.
And you know what, Jared? You can't shift.
You're just going to have to take it.
Sit your pretty little behind there and let her fly you around. Oh, goodness.
And I can't remember what chapter it was, but Vela even brings up, like, what if the bonding ceremony was wrong? Like, what if they bonded us, but they end up being wrong? So she even had, like, some suspicions that something wasn't right.
Yeah.
Well, and she didn't really have, like, that connection with Jared that she's now watching Tate have with Aether. Like,
right.
Like, knowing someone else could be out there with that kind of powerful connection.
Yeah.
Because they basically matched them off of their magic. Because they do matches off of their magic balancing each other. So, in reality, it doesn't matter if they really liked each other.
Yeah, this is true.
You're stuck with each other anyway.
Right. Just like the two people in Tate's class. Was it Carly and
asshole.
Yeah.
I didn't like him.
Yeah, they didn't like each other either. He was actively bullying her.
Yeah, Carly was very upset about the fact that she was to be bonded with him.
Yeah, that actually leads us into, where Tate is in school and she does make Carly a new friend.
Yes.
And she actually questions Carly about bonding because Tate doesn't know anything about what bonding means.
Yeah.
So she opens up and has like a comfortable level of friendship with Carly to ask her this question. And so she did get to learn a little bit more.
Yes.
And it might have freaked her out a little bit more, but
I did like
Carly
their friendship.
was like, why are we talking about sex out in the open?
Right.
Why is this happening?
Why there's naked males walking around?
Right, exactly. There are
Do you see something you
we're
like?
talking about sex.
Right. Chance is still saying Tate is this different person than who he knew. Like, she's changed so much. But Shay had to then say, look, but you have too.
Yes.
And so this whole scene, Chance is losing it. He is losing his darn mind. He's losing control of his power. And then he ends up trying to hit his dad with his power. And his dad threw up a shield. And ultimately his power ricochets off the shield and hits Holland.
Yes.
Who he is now bonded with through the lover's bite mark.
Yes. He felt terrible about that. Immediately he ran to her.
Yeah.
And I think, I don't know at what point Chance realized his dad was just absolutely freaking terrible, but this really set him off. Like why the hell would you do that?
Yeah, and honestly, I don't even know if we ever got to that point where Chance fully says Dad's terrible. Like, he does believe Dad is evil.
Yeah.
But I feel like we were on this roller coaster of Chance emotions of like...
Yeah, it was rough.
Yeah, I mean, Dad was able to manipulate him using the same tools over and over again. It was just so frustrating.
Right.
Did you guys feel bad for Chance? Because part of me did. I feel like he was handed...
Yeah. I would say in the first half of the book, yes, absolutely, because you could see the internal struggle going on, but then towards the second half where he was like really embracing it and becoming just a dick.
Terrible.
I stopped. I was like, nah, dude. Like, you've had so many chances to turn this around. Holland has tried, Shay has tried, you've been ignoring them. You know your dad's terrible, but you went along with him anyway. So
yeah, because we could have turned it into something that wasn't so bad.
Yeah.
He really could have used his power for good. And I don't know if it was trying to be somebody his dad was proud of or what, that he just he needed that power. He was hungry for it. you know, toward the end of the book.
Yeah. And his dad made it seem like it was the only way to save everybody in the Glen, is that he needed all this power, even though Holland and Shay were like,
Dude.
you don't need to do this
Right.
to continue to try to help, you know,
Right.
this in this war.
Right. Learn how to channel it, but you don't have to use it this way.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then before I have a highlighted spot for Chance, but I
Love
will
it.
go into Aether. I'll go into Aether's chapters first, where, you know, Tate finally tells him that she's going to accept the bond, but she wants to wait before completing it.
Mm-hmm.
Which has Aether really excited, and he agrees.
He's like, whatever you want.
He's like,
but the
Wherever you'll take me.
yes.